Hi Answer, Nitesh here. I just wanted to give you a brief update on the requirement and also give you what we are expecting. Now, at this stage, I've tried to consolidate all the requirement in one particular sheet and try to see if we can work from there, and that will keep us guided as well. So this is the sheet. The sheet is in my folder, which is project. So I will be sharing with you bolt-on sheet, Eric sheet, input sheet. Don't use input sheet. I will use just for this video. Assessment tool, scope sheet, qualify sheet. So these are the documents. These are all the sheets that I will be sharing with you apart from the video. So to start with, project scope sheet. Now in this project, what I have done is I have created all these lines that what we need to change in terms of individual sheets in the input file that I have. Now these are all the changes that I'm expecting in individual section, and also this is a project, same project but with some extra addition, and then qualified as an extra addition. I'll tell you about that as well. Okay, so start with the scope of requirement. First and foremost, I got a new key start calculator, so of course we need to remap the key start calculator. Now there is a specific about key start calculator that I will talk about in this section, but that's the first thing required. Now we also need two new sheets to be done, and that is for qualifiers and Eric. So what the idea is, my qualifier and Eric, I will get the master sheet that like the input sheet 1.8.1, that the one that we use, and we'll add two more sheet to it, and then before sharing it to Eric or my qualifier, I'll remove or hide the sheets that they really don't need to see. So that's the idea. So that will be just an additional sheets that will be there. Now in terms of this is a shared file cleanup. Now in the version 1.8.1 there was a lot of cleanup activities required because there was a lot of things which is visible, which I didn't like to show it to my clients. So we'll just clean up those list of things. Now in terms of remapping, we will go in detail about that, but we'll remove all those unrequired field, and we'll take it up from there. Now I did try to work on my input sheet, the one that I took it from you in the past, and then I tried to do all the changes myself, but then it ends up in a lot of error. Now the mapping is gone, everything is gone. So that's why although I'm sharing this with you, but don't use it as a benchmark, but I will use it just to show you what I meant to achieve, but don't use that because that's pretty much gone. All right, so now coming to that input sheet, the first sheet in that section. So I'll be using both 1. So let's open that. Let's also open that. All right, so this is the first section that we usually be able to see. Let me just check if it is still recording. Yeah, open and main video. Let's see. Yep, it's still recording. That's good. So okay, so this is the sheet that I have, and this is a sheet you have sent to me. Now one of the things, I actually don't know why it says so. So this is 1.8.1, and then the other one is the one similar to this, but my version of it, which I would not like you to use, so that's fine. Now in this is fine, enabling the content. For whatever reason, this doesn't do auto save. So I did try to see something what can be done, because autosave is something really important. Sometimes I absolutely forgot about it, but then I don't know what to do about it. But that's not a deal breaker, so we don't want to be too much worried or fussed about that at this stage. So that is fine. So now in this input sheet, what I want, or essentially what I want, is in situation, which is this one, we have only two options: single, couple, or select, right? So all I want is single, couple, and family. Now the reason why we are using family will come a little later, but that's what we want to use. Okay, so that's one addition. Then the second addition is employer and occupation. Now I did try to use it in my sheet to somehow get it, so that's why you can see this do not use sheet. In this, all these details, like, it stays normal, but I will put here and here. The only problem that I came across was when I made it to couple, and let's say I put a detail, something here and something here and something here and something like this. When I go to FHA, it just goes, this fields it takes it, this field it doesn't do anything. So that is shocking. That's why hence it is do not use. But this sheet, what I want is, I want those, those two fields to be added, which is these two. So occupation, employer, and in this as well, we don't need it for the second job, but for the first job I would need these fields, and these fields has to translate into here as well. So right now, otherwise I keep forgetting asking them, and then it doesn't translate here because I have to fill in here manually after they've gone, which is not a very good situation to be in. So let's clean this form first and see if we can start from scratch. Yeah, so let's call it a couple. Yeah, so anyways, I don't know if this sheet has become very bulky or whatever the case may be. It doesn't go in that easily these days. I don't know why. But anyways, so we will add that section in. First employer, we probably don't need it for the second employer, but yeah, so that's something which we will do. We'll also get rid of this somehow if we can. Now, so that's the first requirement, to add occupation and employer, two different fields. So what's the occupation, what's the employer, and that will basically get mapped there. Now the third is, we will come to this section here, and then here it says rent. Now if let's say I put rent of, I don't know why it is not. So this is somehow not working fine anyways. All right, so let's say rent here, I put 300 bucks, let's say a fortnight, let's say, or 500 bucks a fortnight. Then I go to FHA, it doesn't do anything here. Essentially, currently renting, yes, and then there's nothing next to it. What I was trying to achieve was something like this. So in this sheet, let me see if I can use it still. I think I can. So if I say rent 500 bucks and I call it a fortnight, then if you go to FHA, it shows 500 fortnight, and it currently says renting yes. That's it. But what I want is, what I want is that if there should be a section here, agent or private, and somebody should be able to write private or agent, and it goes in FHA, and instead of just yes or no, it says something like this. Let's say yes renting, something like yes, and then comma, and then agent or private, or or whatever it is, agent, and it should say 500 bucks. a fortnight. So all these details, so yes, they're renting, they're renting through agent or privately, this is how much they pay, and that's the frequency on which they're paying. This somehow to be captured here, but here there's only drop down of yes or no. Now this is a crucial information now, which is a new addition. So what we need is something here where I can say private agent, or a tick box here through agent or through private or something like that, and I can just tick the box, which basically changes everything here. So if you can do that, that will be great. So that brings us to this point. Yeah, again, that section. Now assessable income. Recently Keystart has changed their rule. So for metro and for regional, these are the new assessment levels, whereas if you look at the input sheet, the assessment that we had was something like here. It comes from X7, so probably don't even have that X7, but let's see if I can see it from, yeah, let's see this one. We go to Excel sheet. Is there an X7? Yeah, here it is. Is there an X7? So let's see if there is an X7 here. Yeah. X77, where is X77? Yeah, so here if you look at this, single, couple, regional, based on these are now different. It is single is different, couple is different, and family is different for both metro and regional. So whereas here it is mentioning 115, 135. So essentially what I've done is, in the requirement I've said single, metro 105, regional 125, couple 135, regional 150, family 155, and 155 regional. So these are the new numbers that we would have to feed in. So instead of, and then of course if somebody is earning more than that, it turns red like in the past, but these numbers needs to be changed. So that is the other addition that I wanted it to be. Now the next addition is approx land budget. So if you look at this here, approx land budget, that we have it on both sheets. So let's use that sheet which you sent as a recent version. So yeah, so what we have here is a Keystart and bank, and then there's a number. The formula is fairly simple, as I know. This is basically, whatever that amount here comes in minus 200 or something. Now what I want is now what I want is this tab to look something like this. So an above section saying 150, 220, where is interesting. This has to be this has to be 150 to 220, and that was equal to so sorry, I'll just add that. So yeah, so it will be very simple. This will be, if it is Keystart, we will have all the 4 banks here. So Keystart, Bankwest, CBA, Westpac, like we have it here. So instead of just 2, it will be 4, but there'll be one more section on top which says house size. So it will basically go house size something here, So house size, if you're like, if somebody says I want 150 square meter, like they want a small 3x2, that's 150. Then their land budget is whatever they can. The land budget is whatever they can borrow minus $150,000. And so right now here we only have two brackets. So from this to this, it will be basically borrow minus 150. Then this will be for 150 to 200. It will actually look like this, but these are formulas. So borrow of Keystart minus 190, borrow of Bankwest minus 190, borrow of CBA minus 190, borrow of Westpac minus 190. So we'll get the borrowings from them. We will get borrowing from all these guys. So this minus 150, and then we'll have a bigger drop down here. So if you make sense, that's there. Now this was also said in the previous. So this is basically house land approx. We want a table which will be like this, but there'll be a value here. So instead of borrow minus this, that will be equals to borrow of max borrow of Keystart minus 150, and then this is max borrow of Keystart minus 190, something like that. So that's there. Now the next section is something which I wanted to add as a functionality. So when you say total repayment now and total debts outstanding now, what I want is these data to be used in the calculator wherever it is necessary. So where there is a balance, we put that particular balance there, and we put the repayment, which is the older repayment, so which is basically this amount. Sorry, where is that gone? Yeah, whatever that amount is. So let's say if you're using this calculator 1.27, we will only want to use the amount which is auto calculated from input sheet, but these are revised number. What I would suggest you to do is basically this number will be exactly similar to this number. So what is the total repayment now? And there should be some sort of button like we have it here, or something of that sort, that we can have it here, and then once that button is pressed, the new refinanced figure comes in. All right, and then these calculator will use the new refinanced number. So I think in terms of formula, what we need is we will need something like this, whereas this is given and these numbers are only calculated if requested. So something like a tick box basically to enable this, and a number which basically goes here will be lower of this and this after refinance and current. Whatever the lower of that is the number that we are going to use. So whichever is lower. So it never happens that after refinance the number will go up, but we just want to make sure that we are using that as a benchmark, and then I can show them a saving. Now again, this is something which I want, but if we can't achieve it, we'll live with what it is. Same goes with Bankwest, same goes with CBA, same goes with Westpac. Now I did see some discrepancy in Bankwest, but I'm not fussed about it. So that's fine. The integration was the integration work was smooth anyways, so that's fine. This basically ends here. That's what input sheet needs to have. Now coming to Keystart 1.28, which is a newer version. So I don't know if I've actually opened that version. Yeah, so this is the newer version of Keystart calculator that just came in existence probably 3 days ago. I don't know why they created two versions in a gap of 30 seconds, but anyways, so this is a new version. Now what happens in this version is they've not changed much, but what they have done is they have added this 3, which is only meant for credit cards. So you have to put a limit of credit cards. So let's say if we use an input sheet, we use, let's say, input sheet So what we need is here is we need to put the limit here. So what we do is in credit card we put a limit here and what is outstanding on that, whereas what they want is they want us to put, sorry, yep, yeah, they want us to put the limit here. Now if you don't put a limit here and I just want to enter this field, it basically stops me from entering that number at completely. So I don't know if there's a workaround. If you want to hack into this, that's fine. Otherwise you can feed the new number. So let's say $300 a week, so we basically go $300 and we put a week and month and whatever, you know. So probably when you're remapping, mapping this one with the newer version, you probably will have to add this particular area rather than the other way around. So that's one thing which is required in Keystart. So that's what I said, put a consolidated loan number or reference number in the fourth tab in there. Now with Bankwest CBA cash flow, I don't think so we need any changes. Now the next section is package sheet. Now let's say we go to the package sheet now. Now in package sheet there are a few changes that I would like to implement, and probably that's something which is going to be slightly bigger than I thought, and hence let me just check if it is still recording. Open the main window. Yeah, but still okay. So first thing is let's look at assumption section, which is this one. Right now here it says first home bar, we'll keep it as it is. Here it says Keystart, we'll keep it as it is. Here it says Keystart deposit, this will keep it as it is. Now what we want here is these fields which says deposit 5%, deposit 5% inclusive LMI, deposit 10, deposit 20, deposit amount and guarantor. I want them to be replaced with these. So deposit 5% inclusive LMI, so it basically goes the same. The first field remains same, second field this field changes, third field changes, fourth field changes, fifth field, sorry, come again. This remains same. Here instead of just 5% from that list, it will be saying 5% including LMI. So this one will go on top, and then it'll be 5%, then 10%, 20% deposit amount guarantor. So there's just a swap of these two fields, that's it. Now what this field usually does is when you change this field, it actually impacts. So let's put an example. Let's put $200,000 and let me just fill this up, and let me just put this up so that we just sure. So let's say we are talking about this particular example. Now what happens is this 5% deposit basically tells what is required. Now these formula here will need to be changed. So what I mean by that is when somebody says Keystart, so let's say if I do this package and if I go with Keystart and I put a Keystart deposit, I put a Keystart deposit, it comes to 4,175. But this figure is actually not correct. The actual figure should be this multiplied by 0.05 plus this minus plus this again. That doesn't even want to show themselves. So actually minus, so I don't even know what it is doing. anyways, the idea is, let's see, this multiply by 0.05, sorry, it is key start, so 0.02, something like that, equals plus, sorry, so this equals this plus this plus I don't know what it is. Yeah, so that is the right figure. So what is the right figure? Is original package price, which is this one, multiply by 2%, so 2% of original package price, plus fees, which is this fees, plus stamp duty if there is a stamp duty required, minus first homeowners grant. So essentially this will be this plus fees plus stamp duty plus LMI. Now essentially there's no LMI in that case, but that's what we want it to be. So plus fees plus duty plus, so that's it. So in this scenario it will be 5% plus fees, so that is 5% of original package price plus fees plus stamp duty, no LMI, minus first homeowners grant, so minus first homeowners grant or that, and then the number comes in. So to give an example, if the package price is $400,000, or whatever it is, so just to give an example, this will be smaller deposit required, so cash required here would be smaller in this case compared to this case, because here the LMI is not calculated, whereas let me just add this, correct this formula, plus stamp duty plus minus FOG, so fees plus stamp duty minus FOG, same thing here, plus LMI plus fees plus stamp duty minus FOG, same here, so yeah, fees plus duty minus first owner's grant. So FOG is nothing but this one. So the cash required will be, so total, so that's what it says, effect on price breakdown, so total cash required will be based on these formulas. So original package price multiplied by whatever percentage plus fees in all the cases. In these two cases no LMI will be added, in all the others LMI would be added. And then if the amount is less than $3,000, we will put $3,000, and if the amount is more than $3,000, we'll put more than $3,000. So that's what we want to change that. Now that's on the deposit side. After that, the site work. Now currently if you look at this, we have a list of areas, and there is a site work cost in a hidden sheet right now which talks about site work cost, which is fine. What I want is, I want one more section to be dropped into this. So instead of no site works, and then one more here which basically says a custom, so I will be able to put a custom site work cost. So if let's say I select custom, so let's say we'll call this as a custom. If let's say I select this, it should create in ideal world a section here, site work amount, and we can just push this slightly lower. So I don't know, so it should come site work allowance, something like that, and then we'll put a figure, something like $20,000, right? So something like that. So all I need is an ability to put a new site work cost. Now the implication of this input would be at multiple level. It also will change in PCQ. And again, when we put a site work cost, the original package price is price of land, price of site work, price of variation, price of house, all up. So again, the site work cost, once we put custom, it should still go in the price of house, but it will be just added in. So something like that. So I was just thinking how possibly we can work with, probably I don't need this block detail. We can use it custom site work cost, and we can add that field in here, and somewhere this field has to go. So I should have an ability to put a custom site work cost, and then that's something which I really would need to have. So that's on the custom side. I'll tell you the implication of that in PCQ as well. Now variation section. Now this particular variation, which was a variation called stormwater. Now if I put a VTIC here, what it does is it does so it does add in the house price, and also when there's no PCQ here, so let's open a PCQ. So let's say if I do a PCQ, it adds 4,200, but if I remove this from the equation, you can see the impact is the price drops down, and also in PCQ this amount is gone in debit. Now over last 1 year, now the council rules have changed, which means this is mandatory, irrespective if I want it, I don't want it, it doesn't matter, I have to allow that amount. So what I want is this field to be like gone, something like this, and we can just replace it with something else, or we can replace it with I don't know, we'll try to find something else in there, but this field will be gone, but we can still put somewhere here bottom or somewhere here just to add that price. But in PCQ that price will remain, although there's no section here which basically selects. So even if I don't select this, let's say, and the PCQ should still have this price, and when we are doing the original package price, the cost of stormwater has to there, so it has to be there. So we'll just try to put it somewhere and hide it, but it has to be there all the time. So that's one thing which I wanted to add. Now we can keep the remaining one the way it is right now. Build rent free promo. If let's say somebody takes a click here, it basically goes in PCQ. It goes in PCQ and it says upgrade to double glazed window, and it allows a $10,000. Now I know we can change it fairly simple. I can just replace this $10,000 with 8,000 or whatever the case may be. Now what we want is, we don't want in the new sheet, we don't want a PCQ to have a debit amount of this. So there'll be no debit amount allotted to it. So it will be basically just saying here provide build free promo, that's it. So it will only say provide build free promo, that's it. There's no cost added to it, but the amount but yes, let's say if I've ticked this, it does add up the house price, but it doesn't show in PCQ. So it has to be added up. But what happens is the price of house, so let's say here I've chosen a price of house as this, and if I can is the so here what is happening is this is the house price, right? So what I want is this house price to go up, this house price to go up to an amount written here. So the base model house price is actually the base model house price plus, if this is added, then that price is added in the house price. So we don't want it to show in here in a debit section, but we would like to add the price of $10,000 or $8,000 or whatever that amount is in the base model price of the house. I hope it makes sense. So that's there. Now coming to the further requirement, so that's basically build rent free promo. Now key start pack, this is where things gets interesting, and there's a lot of manual effort that I would be requiring from you. So what we would need is, there is a new sheet which is called the bolt-ons. Now this is something really new. I'm still to get a hang of it, and this is all password protected and everything. So what we want is, if I collect key start pack, so let's say if I go to my input sheet and I select key start pack and I say V here, in past what I used to, okay, come on. In the past, what I used to do is there was $6,500 allowance that I used to add, and all it used to do is it used to go in PCQ and it will say provide builder standard range floor covering and window treatment. So that's how 6,500 used to come up with. But just to make my life complicated, what they came up is with this. This is a new bolt-on sheet that we have been introduced recently. And so what happens is, when I say key start pack, it has to be price of this, so standard builder range vinyl to living area plus standard range carpet plus roller blind. So builder range carpet plus roller blind plus vinyl. So these three fields add up will actually make that key start pack. So it will be probably this plus this plus this. So these three fields put together is 6,631. That's what a new key start pack number has to be. The problem with this is that it changes with every design. So what I would, so you know, but it has to be done, so there's nothing I could do. Now the problem with this sheet the problem with this is this sheet is not exactly in line with our price list. So if I go back here and let's say I want to unhide the house price list, yeah, so let's say if I want to unhide the house price list, so it basically has then I don't know, for whatever reason this sheet is not working, so I'll use this one. Yeah, so let's say I'll open the sheets, let's say house price list. Right, PCQ. Okay. Anyway, so if you look at the house price list, we don't have that cost. We have a cost, let's say Columba, which is this pure, this is prime. But what happens in this sheet is there's a pure here, same house name, and prime house the same name. And then also here we have done a nice naming. So 7.5 Columba area 124 is the name, but in here we'll have to find out where the Columba is. So for, yeah, Columba, this is pure, and then the pure let's say if you want to add key start pack, so build a standard range carpet plus roll blind plus this. So in Columba Pure it'll be this plus this plus this, so it works for only 4.5 grand, which is better in this case. In that case it was worst, but the problem right now I have is it changes so much. In certain houses I was actually charged a couple of grand from builder just because I didn't factor in. So we would we would need to, this will be a very lengthy process because this has to be manually. So what I was thinking is, instead of having these fields that we are not using, we'll call them by name of bolt-ons. And if you can hack into this and transfer all these fields here into the input sheet, then it will be probably easier. Now I know myself that key start package is not included in Prime or everything, so all we would do is we'll use all the field from Pure, will not use any field from Prime. So let's say they're two Pure and Prime, so we'll just take, these are the name of the bolt-ons, and we'll use these prices. For Prime we'll not even bother about it, but anyways, just put those fields here from Pure Upgrade, what are the bolt-ons, and then we will take it up from there. Now, so that's key start package. Then there's new field which is bolt-on. So this is what I was talking about. So my idea was that in the package model there should be a section here which I was thinking to replace stormwater, where I can go and say please add bolt-ons, and if I put a V mark here, then it opens basically a list of all the bolt-ons which is mentioned in the price list, and we can just put a tick against it and it does the PCQ accordingly. So that's what I was actually thinking, but I don't know how good or how well it will look. Yeah, so I was thinking if we can somehow have a section where we can add a bolt-on, and every time we are adding a bolt-on, we can go back to PCQ, and let's say if we chose a bolt-on, it says basically provide and whatever the name of the bolt-on is. So let's say if it says, if it says SS stone to kitchen, so it just basically goes and says provide SS stone to kitchen, something like that. And then it also provides a number here which is derived from here. So let's say that is how much it takes, then we put that. Now there's no pricing given for 600 by 600 floor tiling, so we don't need to add it, and all the other ones we can basically add there. So if we can have all these bolt-ons as part of that. Now again, this is very confusing. It is standard range, display range, Manhattan range, and all of that stuff. Now also in this sheet, what you would see is there's a sheet called general info, where you have a block width and model name sorted already, and also the area name. So if you want to use add this, I don't know if it will be of any use, but otherwise it will be a big manual effort that would be required to execute the project. But anyways, that's what we have to work on. So let's move on. Now in terms of design section, if you go back to input sheet, in terms of package model, design option, now first and foremost is, I don't know why this particular house always comes with this, but anyways, let's say if we change the house name, it works fine. And if we go back to the same house, which is called the order, I don't know, it works fine, but usually it comes with something. Anyways, that is not a bigger problem. What is the problem is that it looks quite messy right now. So if you look at this, there's a 6 meter there, and then suddenly 7.5 meter comes in, and then there's a strata comes in, and then there's a 7.5, and then there's a 15 there, and then there's a 17, then there's a 12, then there's a 10, and then there's a choose a design and establish. Now this is quite messy. I've shown this to my clients, and my client goes, why are they not in order? So all I want is them to be in order. So this is basically their order. So 10-meter design has to be, so 12 meter, 12.5. So what we want is all the 6 meters, and then all the 7 meters, and after that all the 10 meters, all the 15 meters, all the 17 meters, in the same order. So what we need is that, first of all, sorting. So that is very required. So from smaller to 6, 7, something like that. Now also I need a drop down in here which says again custom. So let's say if I, right now in this we don't have that, but let's say it says custom. So custom should say ask us me the house price. So let's say if I put $200,000 for house price, instead of price list from there, it will use this price to calculate the package price. And also that price will also be reflective here. So in the base model price here, that will be the price. So these are one-off houses. So let's say somebody says I want to build this house and I have to build based on his expectation, then I can't I don't know the house because it was never built before. So we have to use a custom design, and when it comes to custom design, we can't cost it like a normal house. So we will have to give them a cost, and this is where I would usually go, what is the cost of house. So we probably would need to use some sort of formula to come up with a price of house. So I don't know how do we do that, but that's what we need to do. Also, there are a few designs that is going to be added in the base model very soon. So I want this house price list to have more designs name here. And if you don't like this setup, we can actually scrap this completely and create a new sheet with a new name and everything. But essentially this needs to be sorted. Now I know when this will be sorted in the I did try to do it from here, but and this is why it says don't use sheet, because when I sorted it actually changes its order. But then what happens is for this design it will choose a different image, and and it was all messed up. So we will need to, when we sort it, the design also has to come in. So now it is fine because I did something there. But let's say in the past what happened was I sorted the names, but this was not sorted. So this was 10-meter design, it was showing something else. So we need to make sure that is also done properly. So that is something which I want to do in here. So again, custom built. And then also, because we are going to add 10 more new designs in a base model, what I need is a drop down where this, once the list is over, it goes new design 1, new design 2, new design 3, new design 4, like similarly 10. And on top here it should say custom house, and we start with custom house, we put a field, that's what goes in the package price. And if there's no custom house, no field, we will probably put new design which will have no price, and I will add the prices of that later on. So hopefully that makes sense. Now selection, new selections, a bottom bolt-on price list. I was thinking, if let's say we put a we select this here, there should be it should say something like bolt-on, so something like that, sorry, bolt-on. And if I select here, it should open a small tab here where I can just V mark saying that which all bolt-ons I'm choosing for this client. And it basically say SS1 to kitchen, blah blah blah, and I put a tick, and every time I put a tick, it basically adds up in the price of the house, which is here. And it also change PCQ by saying that okay, please add this in the house. So that is what I was intending there. So that pretty much ends up my package sheet. Now comes the next one, which is building journey. Now in building journey, we have this particular building journey right now. Now in this building journey, it's basically first month, second month, third month, fourth month. So it's in the order, which is fine. This is not a problem. But what happens these days, most of my clients need some more time for saving. So when I'm showing them this, they are not actually getting the true idea where they can actually get their house completed. So what I need is a small tab to start or appear here. So that's what I wrote here. Add a section finance ready in. So let's say they say finance ready in, and then so something like this, finance, sorry, so anyways, this is again protected, sorry. So something like here it is finance ready, sorry, ready in, and then there should be a drop down here which says 2 months, 3 months. So it doesn't need 1 month because nobody can be. So 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. So let's say if I chose here 3 months or 4 months or 5 months, we will keep this as it is. So June, July, we would still need building contracts and finance application, but this month will change. This month will be whatever today is. So how do I do it? So pre-construction is last month of pre-construction is equals to today plus a month of finance ready. So let's say this should be like here, it is a different formula, but it should be, let's say today. So today is 6th of 6th 2019 plus plus month of finance ready in, which is in this case plus 2 months, something like that. So plus 2 month, all right, and plus plus 15 days. Plus 15 days, something like that. But this has to be, and if it is 3 months finance ready, or 4 months or 5 months or 6 months, this should be this plus that many months plus 15 more days. And this is still has to show like September, October, November. But let's say if somebody is not ready for finance till November, it will show June, this is what you do, July, August, this is what we do, and November comes here, and then this thing will start from, this will be November, and this will be December, January, February, March, April. So just to give them a right time frame. So the minimum time is already mentioned here. So this is the minimum time of construction, but not everyone gets a house in a minimum time frame, and this is why I want this field to be added. So and this is why it says construction first month will be construction first month. So this is construction, this is pre-construction phase, this is construction phase. So construction phase first month would be next to the finishing month of construction. So this is September, so this is October, because whereas in this formula this is 4 months from today, this is 5 months from today, this is 6 months from today, but it doesn't happen. So we just have to add in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and then these will be more realistic in that case. So I hope that makes sense. Now the next section is FHA, which is this one. Now in FHA, the changes are currently renting, so say yes or no, and if it is private or agent, or rent amount and frequency of pay, which I discussed before. So instead of this, it should say something like this. So that's there. Occupation, use the date from input sheet. So input sheet will bring occupation and employer details for both applicants. Asset, now in terms of current savings here, so what I have here is can save at current debt weekly this. Now what happens here is, let's say if I go here and I say how much can you save, and they say $200 a week, this looks fine, they can save $200 a week. But let's say if client goes, I can save $200 a fortnight or a month, it still goes in FHAS per week. So what I need is this to be similar to this, and this to be similar to this. So I don't know, that should not be too hard for you. So this should be the same frequency as we have entered in FHA. So that is something which I wanted to add. So that should be fairly simple. Now in PCQ section, new PCQ mapping, same like current page in PCQ. So okay, so that's good that I realized it that now. So there is a new PCQ that we have introduced, and that is something which we would need to add in this. PCQ. So we have a new PCQ, or let's say I have a new PCQ here. PCQ deal folder. Yeah. So this is also something which I'm going to share with you. So this is a new PCQ. So I think you will have to do first thing is map this as well. So let's open this. So this is a new format of PCQ. Again, it is page 1 and page 2 for God knows what reason, but this is how they like to do it. Page 1, page 2, and you know, again, we need to remap this, and this has heaps of name which I don't even care. So what we need is this PCQ, which is the older version. This we can't sign anymore apparently. So what we need is first, you know, page 1 and page 2 of this PCQ to be added there, but it will still look like same, but instead of this one, the new mapping will be of new PCQ. So that's one thing which I wanted to add. So new PCQ, I will send you that file as well. Now consultant name. So if you look at a new PCQ here, and let me put it here. Here there's heaps of consultant names. We actually don't need any of them. We just need Nitesh Jha out of that, and we also need one more name which is called Eric Nguyen. So that guy, and I'll explain that to you later, but that's what we need. So apart from that, this $500 one is gone. This has to stay all the time. Now provisional sum of site cost. So if you go in this sheet and we go to page number 2, this cost of site work. Now, you know, in this sheet we have that section as well. So, you know, and what we used to do is we used to take the site work cost from a site works sheet that we had before. So if I go to unhide, and there is a, I think there's a site work cost sheet. Yeah, site work checklist, which basically is this, which gives us detail about all the individual suburb, you know, and then, you know, we can potentially use this one. You know, so we used to take our PCQ details, like, you know, site work cost from there, but remember what we discussed here, that we need a site work to be, you know, manual entry also. So let's say we had to enter that number here manually, then in the PCQ amount, that number has to be reflective here in PCQ. Okay, so that's there. If bolt-ons are selected, you have to write, so provide bolt-on name to house and the amount in the amount section. So let's say if somebody adds this, then, you know, basically amount goes here and the description goes in this section. If key start package is ticked, then we should write provide builder standard range 1 to living area, carpet to bedroom / theater, and roll blinds to house. And again, the amount goes in this, and this amount is the same amount that we got it from bolt-on by adding these 3 fields, which is, you know, carpet, one, and all of that. For custom house selection above, there will be written amount entered manually. So if, let's say, somebody decide to choose a custom, like in package model, somebody choose a custom design, and we have manually entered the number, and let's say I've ticked on bolt on this bolt on numbers, or if I ticked on key start package, these numbers will still rock up, it will still come in. So all we will do is we'll not have a figure in this, and I will manually feed the figure, but the statements will be still there. You know, these statements will be still there. So you know that will be there. Now house price list is the next sheet that I want to talk about. So house names remain same, new feed to be added in column and bolt-on sheets. So which means I just want to make sure you know the bolt-ons are being added in my price list, and house base price remains same in same format. You know, sort house by frontage, new house design, which is mentioned in package sheet. So you know this is what which we want. Now the next is Eric. Eric is one of the guy who works with me. He's somebody I hired. Now for him, he doesn't need the whole input sheet like I need it. You know, I don't in fact intend to give him an access to this detailed sheet. All I want him to have is few sheets. So the one that I gave it to him right now is called Eric sheet in here, but again that's will be longer work, I think. So yeah, so that is his sheet. It only has input, package, and PCQ. That's it. And his input sheet is basically looks like this. It has the name, number, but it doesn't do that borrowing capacity calculations and everything. It basically stops where how much they can save and what type of rental it is. So it is private or agent, and all it basically does is that's it. So you know we want something like this for him, similar to that, but I will add this sheet in my master sheet. So in my sheet, so when I give it to him, I'll hide all the other sheet and I will give him just these 3 sheets. So his input sheet will be pretty similar to this. We don't need to show any borrowing capacity calculations and everything, and that's about it. Now it's only the one thing which will change here is in his, because there's a different name of a consultant, he will be able to put his own name as in there, and he would be able to, it doesn't matter this one, so you know he can just change it anyways, but name consultant drop down is what something we would need to add. So that's it. So you know once we add that in my PCQ, I will be you know hiding all the other sheet for him, or you know probably delete all of them or whatever the case may be, and I will give him this sheet. So all he has is 3 access, but this is something which we'll have to make. The remaining one we don't have to make. So that is from Eric's sheet. Hope that makes sense now. So you know no need to change on package model or PCQ. So you will have access only to 3 sheet, but you know remaining I will hide. Now my qualifier. Now qualifier is the last leg of this project. So I have a qualifier who basically, what he does is he basically books appointment for me. So he calls people, he sees if they are eligible to get a home loan, and if they are, how much is their borrowing capacity, and once they know yep they can probably borrow that much, he will put a sheet for me. So what happens there is he has to put some comments here. So he will say yeah, she seems you know keen or excited or whatever. So let's say he'll put here that so it's saying protected, but he can essentially write here something that you know the client is quite keen, excited, blah 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 blah, and in situations, is it single, couple, you know, so he just, let's say he goes single, and he puts their surname, first name, he puts the income, and all the other fields are like he doesn't need to put the address. So the difference between his sheet and my input sheet is fairly simple. He will not have you know the occupation name or employer name. He will have the other field. He will not have a date of birth, address field, driver's license, mobile number, or email address field. He will just have you know this field, and he'll put first name, last name if it need be, and then you know this field will be there, this field will be there, this field will be there. He doesn't need that agent and private anyways, and these numbers will come. So that's all he wants. He doesn't need to see all these calculations and back end. and also he doesn't need to have that functionality where refinance is something which is an extra for him. It is always calculated based on refinance number. So if you look at his sheet, he basically doesn't, he sees these, but if he wish to, he can add it. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need to see what is an assessable income, so we can essentially hide all of this for him as well. So I can actually just go here and hide it, so should not be a problem. So that's all that he would need, and we will be able to take it up from there. So that's all I have as a requirement. I know it's a kind of a lengthy and a bigger process or bigger project, and I do know that I'm still to pay you for the previous two, so I'll make sure that you've been looked after, man. Okay, looking forward to hear from you, man. Thanks, cheers, bye.